Today, we are really fortunate to be talking about content strategy and SEO for B2B lead generation. What percentage of your visitors become customers? For most sites, it is woefully a low number. So if your content strategy isn't converting, why are we publishing it? Is it contributing to your incomes? And if it is, how? Until we understand this, we can't develop a winning content strategy. And today we have Andy Crestodino with us to tell us how. He is the #1 most requested speaker we've ever invited. And he is the Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder of Orbit Media Studios, Inc. But he is perhaps best known as a keynote speaker and author of the book, Content Chemistry, the Illustrated Handbook for Content Marketing. Take it away, Andy.
Thank you, Gail. I'm glad to be here. I've been a content strategist and a content marketer for the last 15 years. In that time, I've published something like 520 articles. I'm also active in other formats such as video and presentations, live events. At the peak of COVID, I was giving like 100 webinars a year. This is my third this week. I'm just trying to say yes to everything I can because I enjoy teaching and it's been very rewarding for me. Just personally, meeting people and being part of a community. But originally, when we started this company, I was the designer. My friend was the programmer. Web design and development. This was in 2000 and 2001. I learned right away I had to understand search and I had to understand analytics. So 22 years of analytics and SEO. That analytics work goes back to prior to Google Analytics. We all used different tools back then. But I'm happy now to share some of the most effective things I've learned and show you how to combine those things into a unified content strategy that is unlikely, statistically unlikely to combine these different elements. It's something that we do in our own marketing and has been critical to our success. Orbit today is a 53-person, $7 million per year in revenue business with no advertising whatsoever. In fact, our marketing budget sort of zeroes out every year because our marketing actually generates a little bit of revenue. We don't have major out-of-pocket expenses. We do no advertising whatsoever. Never done any advertising. It's actually not that uncommon, but yes, I'm one of many examples of companies that have been built entirely on an organic and content inbound strategy without any out-of-pocket expense for things like ads, and successful at the level where there's literally like dozens of people here and millions in revenue. So kind of fun having watched that grow since the very beginning when it was just like 2 kids and a phone, 2 laptops and a phone. So I'm going to share my screen and walk through with you now this mini framework, which I'm calling the 1% content strategy because it is statistically unlikely to be employed by most brands. Again, hypothetically, this is how to beat 99% of other content strategies. You probably know this, but it's kind of useful to hear maybe just in how you explain things to other people. I assume that a lot of this will be review for you, but even me, all of us, when we hear things that are sort of review, it's sometimes useful to hear other people say them and just the words and the way that things get described. It becomes useful in conversation and describing things and working with clients. Guy Kawasaki was an evangelist for Alphabet, or for Google, I guess, and Apple. And he said this very simply: if you have more money than brains, you should do outbound marketing. That's advertising. If you have more brains than money, you should do inbound marketing. That's content. There's another famous quote by Seth Godin that says that content marketing is the only marketing left. The idea being that we all have so many ways to avoid seeing ads. Advertising is distraction marketing. Every ad you've ever seen was interrupting you while you're doing something else. Ads are quite frustrating for most of us, and we have more and more ways to avoid seeing ads. Content is useful. It's helpful. It's entertaining. It's interesting. It attracts us. Probably all of us have at least once already today done a search for something or clicked on something in a social stream that was interesting or useful to us. That's the difference. Advertising is about paid. Content marketing is about earned. Advertising might be very fast. Day after tomorrow, you can have a PPC campaign set up, or buy a paid social ad or do some Facebook targeting, but it's temporary. The minute you stop paying, it goes away. Content marketing is much slower. I'll show you in the end. I'll give you a projection of how long it takes to run a successful search-driven content program, but it's durable. All those articles I've mentioned, virtually all of them are still live. So content just has this, like, the longevity. It's very, very different. That content can stay out there in the world and keep doing good. Jay Baer calls ads the hype and content the help. I like that. Also, sometimes you'll see it described as the hammer and the magnet. Advertising is literally just trying to stop you from doing what you wanted to do and showing you their message. It's like renting. It's like renting an audience. Content marketing is just this amazing way of being useful on the internet and attracting lots of visitors. I sometimes say that content marketing is a test of generosity. The brand that gives away the most helpful, useful advice, the brand or person who gives away the most helpful, useful advice, wins the most loyalty and demand and love. It's true every day. We all experience this every day just by interacting with certain accounts, certain people, certain companies. You just gradually come to be grateful to them for all of the help and that they've given you. So the best brands are just sort of rushing to give away their best advice. It's like a huge generosity contest. What could be more fun? I love it. It's competitive, but only in that sense of being the most helpful, right? That's the competition. It's to be the most helpful and often to collaborate. So now we're going to beat 99% of content strategies. It is not really true that if you publish blog posts, you'll eventually just suddenly drive demand. Yes, blog posts drive the key performance indicators for marketing. Subscribes, follows, and links can power your email, social, and search. But it's not that likely that the visitor to the blog post really needs your product or service today. People who start their visit on a blog post are almost always just information intent visitors. Different visits, different keywords, different intent. Search is all about intent. And if you don't understand intent, you're not going to get very far in search. So commercial intent, those people land on service pages. Information intent, those people land on articles or videos, helpful, useful stuff. They land on content marketing. So even though the blog posts can drive lots and lots of visibility, here's an account where people who start their visit on a blog post, there's more than 1 million of them per year. They're very unlikely to need the product or service that company offers. Conversion rates of literally like 0.03%. The percentage of people who start their visit on a blog post and become a lead is like, what is that? 3 out of 100? No, that would be 3%. 0.3 would be 3 out of 1,000. That's 3 out of 10,000? I don't know. It's a very low number. It's a vanishingly small number. Yes, I'm like a hardcore analytics user who's sort of bad at math. I hope I was getting on a calculator. If you create segments in analytics, and I could do this all in GA4 now, if anyone wants to do GA4, I'm happy to. I live in that tool now. If you create segments that show people who start their visit on a sales page versus people who start their visit on a blog post, you'll find that the conversion rate from visitor into lead is probably 50 times higher for people who start their visit on a blog post. So how do we get the blog post to rank and attract visitors for the commercial intent key phrase, the money phrase? Well, the answer is you have to have content marketing or else no one will ever link to you. And if no one ever links to you, your site won't have authority. If your site doesn't have authority, the service page will never rank for the money phrase. And it won't attract qualified visitors who are 50 times more likely to need your services. I'll do that backwards. If you want leads, right? A lead is a visitor landing on the thank you page after filling out a contact form, as generally defined through analytics and most tools. Then you need people who have strong intent. You have people who have strong intent because the service page ranked for the commercial intent phrase, the money phrase. But that page will only rank for the commercial intent money phrase if that site has sufficient domain authority. It's in the same range in the quality and quantity of links as the other pages that rank for the phrase. So how do you build up an authoritative domain? You need blog posts because nobody links to service pages. Almost never does anyone link to service pages, right? Go look at your own Google Search Console. Pardon the truck in the alley behind me. Go look at your own Google Search Console or put your site into Moz or SEMrush or Ahrefs, and you'll see it's really the blog posts that attract all the links. That's the reality. That's a reality of digital marketing. Wow, that's pretty unusual. Be someone's blocking a truck in the alley. Keeping it real, Gail. Here we are. We're live. I live in a place where there's a lot of hustle and bustle sometimes, even though I'm in a kind of a relatively quiet neighborhood here on the north side. I'm in Chicago. Two kinds of visitors. They land on two kinds of pages after searching for two kinds of phrases. Transactional and information. The information intent visitor searches for what I call the question mark key phrase, and they land on a blog post. The commercial intent visitor who know they got their wallet out, they need help. They search for the commercial intent key phrase, I call it the $sign, and they land on the sales page. So these are really two different stages. Blog posts attract people who are more investigation, maybe more just like finding answers, DIY visitors. But it's these visitors who are much more likely to actually take an action and become a lead. So all those blog posts may have super high bounce rates. These are the bounce rates for many of our articles, and you can see it's in like the 90 percentile for some. Wow, Andy, you're a terrible marketer. All those visitors who come to that page, 90% of them leave without clicking on anything? Yes, they do. Of course they do. They had an information need, and I satisfied their information need. I don't expect them to take any action. It'd be weird if that person who came to find out what is Google Tag Manager suddenly decided they needed a fancy new website. It's just not their intent, right? So this is the nature of content strategy. We're attracting visitors who have no immediate relevance to our services. That's part of the game. But what I'm explaining here is how those things, that content has another benefit to you. It actually links, gives the universe something to link to and helps your overall domain rank for the much more valuable key phrase. I could do this another way. Here, I'll come into my browser and just show Chicago web design. Okay, so this is a phrase for which we rank number 2. That's worth millions of dollars, literally. Andy, how do you rank number 2 for Chicago web design? Well, you have to have a site with sufficient authority. For that, you have to have a site with links to it. For that, you have to have articles that are worth linking to. Right? I just explained the indirect but powerful content marketing benefit of the SEO benefit of publishing content. In the end, though, traffic alone is insufficient. We also need a conversion rate. Traffic times the conversion rate equals demand. Total number of visitors multiplied by the percentage of people who take action. This is why everything that I do in marketing is designed to either increase qualified visitors or maximize the percentage of those visitors who take an action. I really don't do anything unless it affects one of these two numbers. Why would I? I just don't have time. I have to be very focused on results. This is the simplest math that describes success in digital. The metaphor, which I got originally from Barry Feldman, old friend, he said that the website's the mousetrap and the content's the cheese. Technically, this isn't just SEO. This is any traffic source and getting people to take action. That is, the conversions. But a lot of what I do is cheese, attracting qualified visitors, and a lot of what I do is mousetrap. Conversion optimization, adding trust, calls to action, managing visual prominence, adding evidence to support answers. I can talk for hours. I often do talk for hours about how to maximize your conversion rates. That's not mostly our topic today. Okay, so step 1 in our process here is to publish our content marketing mission statement. I teach I teach 2 classes every year, and I need to make this distinction. I am not at all talking about the mission of the business. I'm talking about the mission of the content for the business. It's what publishers often publish or document at the beginning of, the launching of a media brand. You'd say, this is who we're writing for. This is what we're writing about. This is why they should care. Here's a framework that you can create one for yourself if you haven't yet. Well, I'll start with my own. We are where who? Digital marketers. Find what? Practical advice on content analytics and web design. Why should you care? To get better results from your website. That is my content marketing mission statement, and having it visible and documented helps me drive results. I'll explain how. Here's the template for it. Our content is where audience X gets information Y for benefit Z. I'm going to unpack that now. Your content is everything. Every article, every newsletter, every guide, every social media post, every video, every infographic, every event presentation, every podcast that you record. All of these things all together, they're all content. Every format, the those are all the things that you do. These are mostly formats, you can tell. Then there's the audience, which is not just potential customers, right? It's anyone that you can help through your advice. I'd be surprised if anybody in this conversation were in my target audience. That's fine. Does it bother me? Not at all. Am I happy to help? Yes, of course. I love to teach, and maybe this is useful to you. So I never miss a chance to add value to the internet by showing something useful I've learned. That's the nature of content marketing. And then what is the topic we're talking about here? Is it utility, tips, advice, insights, strategies, checklists? Is it stories, useful for nonprofits, day in the life, sometimes schools, lots of groups? Is it ideas and inspiration to motivate the person who reads, to make them feel empowered? Is it research and reports, adding new data, becoming the primary source for new information? Or is it news and trends, informing your audience by staying out in front of things? Briefly, I'll say I advise against news and trends for people that are concerned about search. It may not be obvious, but I virtually never write about trends. Andy, what do you think of ChatGPT? I don't know. My content strategy doesn't call for that answer. I have thoughts about it, but I'm not writing about it. Why would I? I only write, I write search optimized how-to articles that teach people to do better marketing. ChatGPT just isn't there yet for me, and I haven't. There's other articles I think will be of more use based on my promise to my readers than a trend. Research and reports, on the other hand, I really prioritize. They're extremely powerful. And then benefit Z. Why should the person care, read, click, visit, watch, subscribe? Why should they pay any attention? If you document this, which you can do in, I do it. I've done it at bars with friends. You can go through this entire process before finishing a single beer. I've facilitated workshops where big brands do it, and they sometimes take like a week to go back and forth about audiences and such. But anyone that documents it should get better results. At least that's what it shows in the annual content marketing B2B survey of Content Marketing Institute. Brands that with documented content mission statements, very likely to report success. Brands with no mission statement, very unlikely to report success. Hinge, different study. Marketers who document their mission are probably 3 times more likely to succeed on average. So everybody does it, right? Nope. Only 28% of brands have a documented content mission statement. I can't explain that. If you love marketing, then you should enjoy this process. It's fun. I would like to do it with you if you haven't yet. It's fun to do. I have a meeting later this week where I'll be doing this with a client. Now, the correlation between the documented mission and success is not a dotted line. It's a straight direct line because it becomes a call to action to subscribe. And getting subscribers is the one way that you're going to decouple your destiny from Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and all those. Because of all the traffic sources, email is one of the few that doesn't have a big tech company in between you and your audience. That's why every hardcore marketer I know is obsessed with growing their email list. How do you grow your email list? It's about the call to action. So what you do is you take the information why part, the middle part of your content mission statement, and you simply make that your call to action. Why would you subscribe to this newsletter? And between 10 and 15 people per day subscribe to this newsletter. It blows my mind. I almost never subscribe to newsletters. Not that interested in more email, but people still do, and they do because they see the benefit. Information why. You would subscribe to this because you want practical tips for content analytics and web design. I repeat it down here. X number of people get web marketing tips. How often? Bi-weekly. I write one email every 2 weeks. If you're on the list, you probably noticed I never send any other emails. But everywhere you look on the internet, you see very bad email sign-up forms. Newsletter, sign up, submit. Why would anybody do that? That is it's lazy. It's ineffective. It's a waste of pixels. It does not tell them anything. It's undifferentiated. Why would anybody sign up for that newsletter? It's weird. On the other hand, this over here, get fun weekly workplace tips because no one loves a boring office. That's targeting office managers. Sign me up. So the best email sign-up forms have the 3 Ps. I'm doing conversion optimization for newsletter signups right now. I'm showing you how to optimize your email sign-up box for conversions. This is mousetrap stuff. So I recommend using the 3 Ps, prominence, promise, and proof. The prominence is just that this element, this visual element, stands out. It's near the top of the visual hierarchy at that scroll depth. The promise is what you're going to get and how often, right? This is my topic, my information why. And the proof is that other people liked it, social proof. Someone subscribed, there's a testimonial from them, or you have X number of people who are on your list. So those are the 3 Ps of email sign-up forms. It is going to make a dramatic difference in your business the minute you apply these to your email sign-up forms. It's changed everything for me. But people often skip it. This is the #1 senior living company in the U.S., Brookdale, massive company, billions in revenue. Any of us could help them get a better job immediately. Stay up to date, email, sign up, submit. Why would I do that? Who is this for? Is it for me? I don't see myself in it. I can't tell. This is bad marketing. It's an unoptimized visual element, call to action. There's really no call to action at all. Stay up to date. I mean, it's helpful. Look at anything on your website and ask yourself, could 100 million websites have that exact same thing? Yes. Okay, then you weren't specific enough. Specificity correlates with results. Look at every subheader. I see that all the time. People write these subheaders. They say, what we do. Everyone could say that. Or look at your navigation. Services, products, testimonials, blog, contact. 100 million companies could say that. You did not differentiate. You were not specific. Look at people write these headlines on their websites. Like, we could talk separately about that. Okay, so there's no value in that. You could also, by the way, turn your social profiles into little calls to action. Compare. This company does backup, disaster recovery, and cloud mobility. That's what they do. Is that a reason to follow them because of who they are? How about this? How-to resources, tips from security experts, practical guides on how to protect your systems. Now that's a reason to sign up. That's a mini call to action, right? You get the idea. Okay, I'm going to use a sample business here now. It's a coffee and beer delivery service for offices in Chicago. It's a real company. They don't have a content marketing program, but I'm just going to pretend I'm a content strategist for Crafty, office coffee delivery company. This is my content marketing mission statement. Crafty is where all my content, every blog post, every social post, every video, every TikTok, every newsletter, everything, all of it is where who? Office managers find what? Tips for the workplace. Fun tips for the workplace. Yeah, I added the tone. Why? Because they want to build happier, more productive teams. Cool. Now I can go find topics. I'm going to find topics that my audience will love. Google Suggest is an amazing source of topics. Never been an easier time to be a content marketer. Just start searching for a phrase and it will give you tons of topics. An office manager will love these. You can also scrape them out of Google Suggest using a tool called keywordtool.io. Keywordtool.io shows you all the phrases that Google would have suggested if you typed the next letter of the alphabet 26 times. You can also see them for other platforms. Answer the Public scrapes the internet for questions and then dedupes them so they're not appearing a million times each. I put in Office Coffee, 15 questions related to Office Coffee. Switch to the list view. Many of these would be relevant to my content strategy. Many of these would be helpful to the office manager. Is Office Coffee tax deductible? How to make Office Coffee taste better? What's the best Office Coffee machine? Quora. I'm actually working on an article now about places to find blog topics. So these are just some of them. Next week, Thursday, I'll be publishing a very detailed list with some how-to tips. Quora is a question and answer website. It's kind of a social network. What are some funny awards for an office party? You can just easily imagine how successful that post will be. It's going to be visual. It's topical. Maybe it's like a seasonal. It's going to have good timing. I can use it as a seasonal thing. Also, I can actually connect with some of the people here who contributed to this, and maybe they have other ideas. I can make friends and collaborate. We're going to talk about collaboration in a bit. But there is one format for content that crushes everything else. It's the most effective, and it is original research. Steve Rayson discovered this when he's the former BuzzSumo founder. He analyzed 1 million articles, and looking for correlations, he found that there's really most content doesn't get any results at all. 75% of articles nobody links to. 50%, 2 or fewer Facebook interactions. That's very low engagement, right? That's like the author and their editor, something like that. But a tiny percentage of articles get great results, huge results, outsized, right? They get hundreds of links or thousands of shares. It reminds me of this funny video I saw that compares these two teams. This is the blue shirts versus the red shirts. The red shirt content strategy is to simply flood the zone. We're going to just make a ton of articles. Not very strategic, maybe not very audience focused, not really on point or collaborative. There's just a lot of them. So are you going to win? Are you going to beat the really high quality, the really smart content strategy just by having a bunch of stuff? Let's see. The red shirts have like 10 goalies. Is that going to help? No, it didn't help. It's not enough. There is no amount of low quality content that can beat an on target content strategy, right? You don't need lots of stuff. You need a few really good things. It's not true that some things are good and some things aren't good. What's true is that some things are amazing and some things are sort of worthless. So our job is to avoid publishing that really crappy low quality stuff that doesn't get any results. That's how I save myself lots of time, right? I don't have time to publish medium quality articles. So therefore I do not publish medium quality articles. Everything I publish is a sincere attempt to make the best page on the internet for the topic. Not exaggerating, no hyperbole. If I publish an article, it is you are looking at my sincere attempt to create the most valuable URL on its topic at that time. So I do that because it's actually far more efficient. It actually saves me a lot of time to work between 10 and 12 hours on an individual piece. But Steve's point is that there's really two outliers. If you want to create content that achieves a high level of both shares and links, we'll call that social and search metrics, then concentrate on opinion-forming authoritative content. That's like thought leadership. That's like strong opinion. That's like taking a stand. Or well-researched and evidence content. That's like original research. I paraphrase. Strong opinion and original research. Strong opinion is a very powerful strategy. I think that to me, this is the definition of thought leadership. It is not thought leadership unless it is taking a stand, right? It's got to be for something and against something. That's what leadership is partly about. You're trying to inspire people to follow your ideas. It's not about how to, I never publish thought leadership anything. I just publish long form how to search optimize articles about how to do very specific things in marketing. That's my strategy. But I also publish original research, which is not risky or difficult. People who publish, it's rare to meet someone who can consistently publish strong opinion. Brands are scared of that often, right? They don't want to irritate somebody. Original research, though, I'm going to focus on because it's doable and repeatable. And it attracts links like crazy. Like that's what people really link to. Anything that supports what they're saying. Anything that supports what they're saying. So here's some examples. What's a good bounce rate? What's a good bounce rate for a website? I don't know. Anybody know? I actually do know because I had a virtual assistant go look at 500 different Google Analytics accounts. I have access to many hundreds of analytics accounts and find the average bounce rate for different traffic sources. Collated the data, put it together. The average bounce rate is, wait for it, 62. That's the average number of people that see just one page on a website visit, 62%. It actually varies by traffic source. It also varies by industry. So that piece goes live. 72 websites have linked to that article over time. I didn't do any outreach for this. I'm not building links to this. This is spontaneous. How do you get 70? Remember, most articles, 75% have 0 links. That's an outlier, right? That's a blue shirt. It's a powerful attractor of links which support my entire website's domain name, which help me rank for the money phrases like Chicago Web Design. What's the lifespan of a website? I don't know what the lifespan of a website is. What's the average lifespan of a website? Hired a virtual assistant to go look at the top 50 marketing websites in the Wayback Machine, archive.org, to see the interval at which they redesigned. And I come up with this article, the average lifespan of a website. It's actually just 2 years and 7 months. Wow, actually much shorter than I thought. I learned something by publishing my own articles. Not expensive or time consuming to produce that research. Wikipedia spontaneously linked to this. Some Wikipedia editor mentioned it, and there's a link to my article about this. If you're an SEO, you know that that's not an equity passing link. That link doesn't support my domain authority, but I bring it up because it's an indication of the quality of the content. 100 other websites have linked to it too. Website lifespan, 103 websites have linked to that. What features are standard on websites? Standard? I don't know. What is standard on websites? We've built more than 1,000 websites, but I still don't have a great answer to this question. It's interesting. Well, I had a virtual assistant look at 500 different websites and make a spreadsheet that shows which features were common on which websites and published a very credible chart that shows what website standards are. Drop-down menus, search in the header, slideshows, calls to action, videos, social icons. What features are the most common? What features are the most standard? I mapped this data against my own best practices and found that a lot of things that are very standard are actually not best practices in our experience. So it was a successful article. It was optimized for the phrase web design standards, and it ranks quite high for that, currently ranking number 2 under HubSpot's featured snippet. Over the years, I've updated that over time. Over the years, it's attracted more than 200,000 visitors, right? What would I have to pay to get the visibility, for the average time I paid is 6 minutes. That's a lot of, that's hundreds of hours of people's attention, right? That kind of attention is not something that I could have afforded to buy. I'm a content marketer, right? I don't have any money to buy for advertising. 250 websites have linked to that one. Amazing. I've got some others in here that are interesting. I'm going to jump down to this final one, which we're best known for. How long does it take to write a blog post? How long? How long does it take to write a blog post? I don't know. So I asked 1,000 bloggers to answer that question and 19 other questions, and the results are that it takes 4 hours and 10 minutes to write a blog post, which is up. When I first started doing this survey in 2014, it was only 2 hours and 24 minutes. So it's like much longer than it used to, right? The time has almost doubled here now. Also, the average length of a blog post finally started to decline after growing year after year. Currently, the average length of a blog post is 1,376 words, according to our survey of respondents. Last year, we got more than 1,016 total responses. 2,000 websites have linked to that article over the years. I always repurpose the same URL, right? I'm building up more and more authority on that URL, not changing the URL. There's a benefit to that. And at this point, there's probably more links to that single URL on my blog than to many of my competitors combined. Like becomes very hard to compete with a brand that has created these durable competitive advantages by building up these like content programs that lead to massive amounts of authority. It gets harder and harder. The sooner you start, the harder you're going to be to compete with over time. That thing's been translated into languages all over the world. Here, someone put it into Arabic. I got TalkWalker alerts set up so I can see when people link to it. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in a week. People just link to that thing all the time. So the framework for finding your own original research topics is to just ask this. What do people in your industry frequently say but rarely support with evidence? What do they frequently say but rarely support with evidence? When you find that frequently asserted but rarely supported thing, you have the opportunity to go find it and create that missing statistic and then make your website the primary source for new information. You're a categorically different type of brand. There's 2 kinds of brands, 2 kinds of websites. Sites that just talk about other people's data and brands that create their own new data. Anyone can do it. None of these programs cost me money. Some of them took time. That annual blogger survey takes me like 80 hours per year to create. But that 80 hours is, if I spend 8 to 10 hours on a typical article, and that's 10x my effort, it's 100x the results. So find that missing statistic the results are huge. Only 47% of brands ever do it, probably because it takes more time. Here's my unscientific chart. In my experience, 10x efforts lead to 100x results. This is the difference. Just think about that blue shirt, right? They're working much, much harder. They've practiced for years longer. It's adults versus kids, obviously, but you get the idea. One of those blue shirts is worth many of the red shirts. So time is linear. Why wouldn't I keep spending more and more time on the article? Because the farther I get over to the right in terms of quality, my results are exponentially greater. Every chart in marketing is a logarithmic exponential scale. You probably noticed this. You know, a tiny percentage of Twitter users have most of the engagement. A tiny percent of YouTube accounts have most of the views. A tiny percent of Google search results get most of the clicks, right? It's like there's 200 million pages relevant for your query. Here's 10, right? That's an extreme hockey stick exponential curve. In your own data, right? Here, let's jump into analytics. I'll show you an obvious example. There's just look at your own accounts. Oh, I'm in Universal Analytics. I'll do it here. Behavior, site content, all pages. This is actually useful because there's a view in Universal Analytics that's not in Google GA4. Go get a little more data. And then you can look at, we'll just do by page views, the comparison chart. The top page on this website has 60,000% more traffic than the average page. The number 2 page has 15,000% more traffic than page views than the average page. See this exponential curve? I've never seen a straight line in digital marketing reports. Never once. They're all exponential curves. So that's my point here about results are always exponential. Why wouldn't I double or triple my effort if it can get me 20 or 30x the results? Gives me more time for my kids. I don't work harder because I want to spend more time away from home. I work harder on these articles because I know that it's the best way for me to because it's more efficient. It actually saves me time. It saves me time in the long run. So there's my little boy when he was younger. He's already on a good path. I need to teach him GA4 now, but he was pretty good at Google Analytics, Universal, but just kidding. That's a joke slide. Okay, bottom line, don't take shortcuts. They take too long. I love it. The Chief Content Officer of Copyblogger, Sonia Simone, she said it so well. Okay, making pretty good time. I'm going to highlight a difference between search and social. I'm a bit obsessed with this topic because I've come to realize that they're not different channels. They're opposite channels. What works in search often doesn't work at all in social and vice versa. Search is really about long-form text. Social is really about compelling visuals and video. What works in search is answers to people's questions, right? They're looking for info. But what works in social is triggering emotion. They're not really looking for things per se. So your job in search is to simply meet the visitor's expectations, but in social, you're trying to be unexpected. See how different those are? So the psychology, the visitor from these different traffic sources is sort of strikingly different. The visitor from search is busy and the visitor from social is bored. So that difference is huge. I'm going to walk through some examples. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Marketers, that headline, where did it work best? The answer, social. Why? Because no one's searching for marketer habits, effective marketing habits. That's not a popular keyword. But in social, it makes perfect sense, right? It's kind of piggybacking on the name of a book. Web design standards, the top 10 practices for top 50 websites. You saw this piece earlier. It crushes it in search because it's on demand. When you need it, you need it. You want to find it. You look for it. You're glad you found it. You spend 6 minutes on the page and read everything about it. If I put that in a social stream, what are the odds that the person scrolling through is suddenly very interested in web design standards? It's not emotional or triggering or visual, not that much. Life-changing magic of deleting old content. Definitely social, right? Why social? Because it's, again, piggybacking on that Marie Kondo show, the lady who tidies up houses. You get the idea. So you can actually, I think it's a skill of a content strategist. Look at any headline, look at any topic, look at any product, and you can tell if it will work in search or social, right? I have a client, they're exterminators. They make, if you think you have bed bugs, you don't go to TikTok. You go to Google and you need an exterminator immediately because you are freaking out. So exterminators, you can't target people who might have bed bugs in social media, right? In search, you know everything about what they're thinking, but nothing about who they are. In social, you know nothing about what they're thinking, but everything about who they are. So look at a product and just ask yourself, where is this going to work best? Exterminators, bed bug extermination, search, no question, 100%. Here's another example though. My wife has this attachment for her blow dryer shaped like a hand. It's like a diffuser. It's like a hand-shaped diffuser. Like it's curly hair. I don't even know what that's called. There's no keyword for that thing. You know, it's strikingly visual. When you see it, you know you need it if that's you. So it's the perfect product for discovery in social media, right? Or like one of those like under desk, it's called QB. It's like an exercise bike that sits on the floor under your desk. Not a good keyword for that. You know, that's going to work in social. I can look at a business offering and tell if it's going to work in social or search. So anyway, that's something that I've really paid close attention to over the years. One practical application for the content marketer is to know that if it's headlines, that there's no such thing. Took me a minute to realize this, right? There is no such thing as a headline anymore. I don't know what a headline is. I don't know. I write things that are like headlines, but they're never used just as a headline. What is a headline? I don't know. I do know what an article header is. That's an H1 tag. It's an HTML format, right? It's going to appear at the top of the page. And if you do it well, it'll reduce bounce rates, especially if you get specific and with the benefit of reading the article. I know what a title tag is. That goes in the HTML. It goes in the head section of the HTML, and it appears in the browser tab when when you're visiting a page. It also frequently becomes the link when the page ranks in search. Keyword-focused title tags can lead to higher rankings. Don't write them too long or they get truncated. 60 characters is the limit. I know what an email subject line is. That can lead to higher open rates. But you have to put the specific value of the article in the beginning of it, because after 50 characters, it'll get truncated in the mobile inbox. So front load your email subject lines. And then what about a social media post? Is that a headline? Basically, yes, but it's adapted for its own use. You know, if you can use it to trigger curiosity or ask a question or kind of leave a gap or use special characters, that can lead to higher engagement and click-through rates. And I know what a video title is, right? That affects the number of plays and views. You can use a target key phrase because it can help it rank in search, but also leave an unexpected word to sound interesting and capture people's attention. These are all headlines. So in digital, I'm really not sure what the word means anymore, but I do know what these things mean, and I know how to get results from each of these, and I would never, never use the same thing in all places. That would be weird. Why would I think that the article header would also be the best social media post? Not necessarily true. Why would a title tag be a good email subject line? Almost certainly not. Title tags are about SEO. Email subject lines have nothing to do with search at all. It's 100% about psychology. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving, hoping everyone's still here. Be quiet. I hope I'm still connected.
Yes, you're still connected and everyone is still here.
Thanks, Gail. I'll make the case briefly that content marketers have blind spots, especially in the bottom of the funnel. If you have a service or product that people have a question about, why do I need a coffee grinder? Why should I switch to whole bean coffee? My team likes those K-cups. Yeah, guess what? All of these sales conversations have a common objection. The objection is to whole bean coffee. I analyze my prospects' questions. I've conditioned myself to write down questions people ask during sales. I get the opportunity to do sales. I still do sales, so I'm very close to my market. And instead of just answering people's questions, I've got a question about this, blah, blah, blah. Now, do I really need a coffee grinder? Good question. I'll explain. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of, it's not fully maximizing the effort, because after you explain those words, the sound waves disappear into the universe and they're gone. If instead you hold the presses, go write the best article on that topic, and then get back to them and send them a link, they can then, and here's my link, what's wrong with pre-ground coffee? Then my prospect can go share that with other decision makers. Anybody in B2B knows these are sometimes very complex sales with multiple decision makers. Not every decision maker is on every call. So what content marketers have learned and are learning is what social media marketers knew all along. Never waste a good conversation by having it in private. Prospect asks questions, salesperson answers the question, that's fine, that's their job. But the marketer has to find out what the questions and answers are so they can find a new topic that they can drive into content marketing. Write the article, send the email to the next prospect. Or better yet, just go update the sales page. Go update the sales page to answer that question. Why are we passionate about whole bean coffee? That should go on the coffee delivery service page. And then also you can, so basically what I'm advocating for here is to focus on bottom of funnel, focus on sales enablement content. Here's one of my stories from earlier today. Got a client they told me this just a few hours ago, changing domain names. Where is this? Changing domain name for SEO. I ranked number 4. They rebranded. They bought a new domain. They've got two other brands. What should they do with these other brands? Should they turn them off? Should they migrate? Should they combine? Should they redirect? What are all the steps? Well, these are all the steps. You have to do a mini audit first. You got to measure the performance. You got to preserve the relevance of the content. You should make a page about the rebrand that can rank for the old brand's name, right? Because that's about to disappear from the internet. You got to make all of your redirects. They should be done carefully. There's a change of address feature in Google Search Console. So I show this to the client. Anytime I meet a prospect that's talking about changing domains, they don't even have to read it to know that we've done a lot of it. We have a very thoughtful process. We're very careful about it. This is the right way to do it. So that's one of the powerful benefits of content marketing is for sales, not just clicks and likes and comments and TikTok views. I have a bias. I have to stop myself from caring a lot about the top of the funnel too. Ultimately, marketers lose their jobs if there aren't enough sales and they can't justify their work. So this is a way to make sure that the content gets used. You could call it zero waste marketing. I wrote this article specifically for a prospect. And then take your top formats and make them into visuals. Here's my infographic about whole bean coffee. I work very hard on the visuals on my site. Here you can watch me evolve a piece slowly over time until it goes to a designer. And here's now an infographic about the 3 types of visitor intent. That's, we work very hard to make sure that there's at least something of visual interest at every scroll depth. Where was that article? No matter how far down you scroll, there's something of visual interest at every scroll depth. See that's because I live in fear of my audience ignoring me. So that's a way to make sure that your content is going to get seen. And repurposing is magical. So turn your top X into Y. Turn your top blog post into an infographic, or turn your top blog post into a video. These are things that are guaranteed to succeed. 2 more things. One is we're going to collaborate with influencers. If you want a lead, you need 2 things: traffic and a conversion rate, right? Cheese and mousetrap. If you want traffic, that's going to come in content marketing mostly from 3 sources: search, social, and email, the classic organic content marketing channels. Search visitors are more likely to convert almost always because they have stronger intent. Their fingers are on a keyboard, right? Compared to social visitors who are just tapping a piece of glass. So how do we rank? We need 2 things: authority and relevance, as in links to our site and relevant content. So if you want links to your website, I'm going to ask a really powerful question for digital. Why do people link to things? Why do people link to things? The answer is because you have a relationship usually with that person and you have content worthy of being linked to. What content is the most worthy of being linked to? We already covered it, original research. But what relationships really drive links and authority? The answer is It's the people who make content, of course, right? It's the podcasters and journalists and authors and editors and bloggers and the 1%. 1% of us make the internet. 99% of people just consume it. But we in this group, right? Just by collaborating with each other, you can create an SEO value. So you can find these people using paid tools like BuzzSumo. You can find these people using free tools like a LinkedIn search. Here I am back at that office coffee company, and I'm searching for editors, people who are in human resources. These are people who write for human resource blogs. My audience may read those. And to collaborate with these editors or anybody, I might just ask them for a contributor quote. I did this 3 times this morning. I was reaching out to people. I'm writing an article about blog topics. I reach out to experts who have a point of view, and they're going to share some contributor quote with me. Or the expert roundup. I'm going to give 5 questions to 5 separate people who each have different perspectives, or 1 deep dive interview. It's a format like this one, right? Where one person you're kind of showcasing an individual and having them go deep into a topic. So the answer isn't just relationships with anybody. It's collaboration with other content creators. Collaborate with content creators, you have a relationship. Original research, you have content worthy of being linked to. That's how links are attracted, right? I'm not doing any link building, never done any link building at all. But there's thousands of links to our site from this exact model. So you end up answering the question like how to get people to pay attention to that research. Here's I guess the previous year's blogger survey. Boy, I really wish Mark Schaefer knew about this survey, or Ann Handley. Oh, good. I included her in it. It'd be nice if Brian Dean knew about this because he writes for big sites. Oh, good. Brian Dean's in it. Mark Schaefer. If I could get Mark to see this survey. Oh, wait, Mark Schaefer's in it. See what I did? I did not wait till it to go live and then tried to get influencers to become interested. I included influencers in the process of creating the content. Now they know about it. And these are people who write for high authority websites. These are also people who have strong social followings. Red shirt versus blue shirt. Blue shirt socializes the topic with their audience first. Then they include some experts in the article itself. Both these articles get shared. Who do you think gets greater social reach? Right? There's no contest. Content optimized for for search includes keywords, but content optimized for social media includes people. I do not write articles without including contributor quotes. Journalists don't write articles without sources. Why would I write articles without contributor quotes? An ally in creating content is an ally in promoting content. The last framework is guest blogging and PR. Write for more than one website. The blue shirt pitches articles to editors. There's an editor. And they get pitches. They accept pitches from other contributors as a contributor. Fast forward. Big difference. The red shirt just keeps hitting publish on the same blog. They never write for anybody else. Only 2/3 of bloggers ever write for other websites. I will never stop writing for other websites. I write guest posts every year. I will never give it up. It's a key part of my strategy. So in the end, I'm gonna put it all together to get. Our goal is to get leads every day for this office coffee delivery company. So I'm going to make a conversion optimized page, a search optimized page, both conversion and search optimized. That's what we do. That's our job. That's what a good web development company does, is build search optimized, conversion optimized sales pages. It's optimized for office coffee delivery service. And that's the target key phrase for SEO. The way that it's going to convert visitors into leads is by answering their questions, their sales questions, and by giving evidence to support those answers. Answer, evidence, call to action. That's the structure of a great page. Now, I unfortunately don't have enough authority to rank for this phrase. Office coffee delivery service, difficulty 22. My authority is only 16. I'm a little bit light. The other pages that rank for this phrase have more authority than me. No problem. I've got a strategy that will help increase my domain authority by attracting links from other websites. How? Original research. What are the top perks from the top 50 workplaces? Then I've got a downloadable guide. I've never gated content personally. If you do, this is where and how you do it. You know, that long form piece, you kind of make like a more concise version or a more detailed version. They give their email address. You grow your email list by keeping gated content. I'm going to write a how-to article that basically summarizes the practical approach to the research. I'm going to write the evil twin to that article, the negative angle, like how to do the wrong thing. Yellow in my framework is a guest contributor or an off-site publishing. Red is the sales page. Blue are my content marketing articles on my site. And yellow would be like the earned media, like the article on another site. Then I'm going to make an infographic, alternate format. Let's do a visual of the research. I'm going to pitch that another one to another publication. Editors love these kinds of infographics. I had one last week. This guy like right away grabbed it and posted it on social media today or someplace. I can't remember. And he and that links back to our content, of course. Look, growing links directly from these yellow offsite pitches. Let's find an influencer, like a subject matter expert on the topic of HR benefits. Maybe pitch ourselves or pitch an executive to be part of a podcast to talk about this new research. Maybe plan it in advance to kind of give them a scoop. And then we're going to publish some blog posts, blog post, all topical, all referencing the article, filling the content funnel, filling the calendar. So what we're going to do, what I'm doing here is really, and I'm going to summarize it all in one sentence for you because as we wrap up, I'm creating high quality original research in collaboration with other content creators in a way that organically attracts enough links and authority so that my search optimized product and service pages, the Office Coffee delivery page, ranks for the money phrase, the transactional key phrase, attracting targeted qualified visitors to my conversion optimized, informative, trustworthy web page so that I get new leads every day. That's a content strategy designed to leverage search in a way that creates a steady stream of new leads. This is a lead gen, a B2B lead gen content strategy that combines influencers and formats. And okay, now how often can I do that? Let's do it once a quarter. Now, if my domain authority, if the difficulty is 22, that's because the other pages that rank have between 100 and 200 websites linking to them. I have only 42 websites linking to me. So let's say each round of my content strategy, I'm going to repeat this again and again. Each round of my content strategy attracts 25 new links each time. That's not a lot. 42 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25. When do I have between 100 and 200 links to my website? Before the end of the year. I am extremely confident that before the end of the year, I'm going to be ranking for Office Coffee delivery service, and my site, if it has a conversion rate, I'll be getting new leads every day. I could absolutely grow that business. I have certainty. I'm doing this all the time. Like these are the pieces that work together, but few people do them. Only 28% have a documented mission statement. Only 47% ever publish original research. Only 15% consistently collaborate with influencers, and only 65% ever publish for other websites. Multiply those together, you get 1%. Maybe. That number seems high to me, actually. I don't meet that many people who combine these elements into a unified content strategy. For sure, at least 99% of people don't. 1% of us are mission-driven, research-anchored, influencer-powered, and PR-focused. And 99% did not come to this bizsugar webinar. We're gonna beat those guys. I kind of feel bad for them. The success is quite certain, and the results will be very valuable. A brand like that, that's a monthly recurring revenue type service, coffee delivery. This is exactly how content can grow a brand. That's the book. As we run out of time, we're back in an hour for the Tip Talk chat. But I'll just stop there, stop sharing, and just make sure everyone's still here. Gail, how are we doing?
All right, so we're good. Since we don't have time for Q&A, if anyone cannot make the Tip Talk, you can come any hour and do it, but leave your question right now in the Q&A, and I will make sure it gets asked in the chat. We invite you all to show up for the chat. So we should close. We're really fortunate that Andy came and did this for us and is also coming back to do a live Q&A in the mastermind community. Non-members can join at bizsugar.com/mastermind and use the events calendar inside there to find the text chat. And we want to thank Andy so much. Andy, do you want to share anything like how people would find you?
The best way to get all of my best, I'm going to put it in the chat. It's the book. I've written, the 6th edition is out. It's everything that I know between 2 covers. All of this is in there. But my best social network to connect with me would be LinkedIn. You're all welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can skip the follow button and go straight to the connect button if you can find it. And then orbitmedia.com is where I write that article every 2 weeks.
Okay, super. And the book is in the blog post that you saw when you found out about this webinar. So you can go find the book and click the link to get there from the blog post. Thank you so much, Andy. We're going to close here and we'll see you back in an hour.
An hour. Thank you. Bye-bye.